Hi, hi,
Long time no see.
yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Are we just the two of us?
No, there's 21 people,
Okay.
24 people. Yeah, I don't know how you would. If you go to on the top right hand of your screen, there's a little thing that says View, and if you go there to Gallery View, then you'll see.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So, to begin with, there's an interesting aspect to human consciousness where if someone has a different opinion or perspective to us, very often it's like a deal breaker. We can't even be friends with them anymore. You see this happening in intimate relationships. If people have a different perspective, different idea about someone, it can really create a lot of difficulty. And I've seen within talking about current events, it's very easy for people to break friendships that have been around for a long time and really project onto each other, like, if you don't agree with me, you're wrong. So just to watch if that comes up in us as we're speaking together, and just to be gentle with it. It's like we're in an exploration, it's not about, as far as I can see, it's never about right or wrong or good or bad or anything like that. There's just events going on, and we all see from a different place. And maybe in exploring together, we can find some common ground. But even if we don't end up having agreement, it's okay to not agree. So can we approach it from that perspective, just as we begin and start to explore? Because it's like somehow it touches like existential information in our nervous systems when we talk about stuff like this. And so very often people respond as if their existence is actually threatened. So, and it's from both sides, it's like people that, and for me, it's not just about the vaccination or not vaccination. To me, it's like just where we are as a species at the moment on the planet. And ultimately, if we really look, we don't know what this is good for. We can look through history. There's been all kinds of crazy stuff that's happened, and we can have ideas about it. But in the end, we don't know. We just see, wow, that happened. So we're here now, and we just looking at global current events. And if there's anything that really touches you when I'm speaking, please feel free to just wave your hand or something, and then we can enter into a dialogue around it, so you don't have to sit with anything. For me, when I look at, okay, Brahmanjali.
I didn't want to disturb you, Isaac, but when you finished, I would like to talk. I thought you finished already.
Yeah, I was actually just going to start talking, but I'm happy if you want to talk, you're welcome.
Okay, because you said it touches you something, and I can feel when you talk about it, my whole system goes actually quite in a spin. Yeah. Because so much layers are touched, from personal layers, not be able to go back home and see my family, and from layers that my mom is 86-year-old, has quite a lot of health issues, but honestly, she's one of the rare people who I can talk with openly. Yeah. And I found this, and who is actually not for the vaccination and who sees this quite with a very sensible attitude in spite of having not the news information.
Mhm.
And I find it quite frightening how people react or respond to it, like what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how to move through this. Anyway, I just want to say, I feel quite, there's so many, I just feel my nervous system get agitated.
Oh, for sure. Look, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's like yeah. To me, I would just like to start in a broader context, and I'll come to what you're speaking about there. But like if we look historically, there's been a few times in history where there's been an effort, you could say, to wipe out certain people off the planet, you know. So we know that happened with Hitler. We know that with the American Indians, there was trying to get rid of them completely. In Australia, the same thing with the Aboriginals. So we know there's a certain mindset that functions like that. And we know that I think all of us have had to deal with bureaucracy where we, like somehow there's these rules and, you kind of have to function within rules, and then somebody that's enforcing the rules, they don't have any real power on their own, but they can really make your life kind of miserable. Have any of you had that experience in terms of just trying to get anything done and do anything? So we know that kind of a mindset, yeah? And I think we can find it probably in ourselves too. But so now all of a sudden we find ourselves with what some people are calling a pandemic, but it's like there's so much different information, and it really does depend where you get your information from. So
Can I ask? No,
yeah.
Because what I found so stunning, as example, my mom who doesn't use the computer, doesn't get information, but her inside, her guts or whatever, from the very beginning, God, this is just fear-making stuff and is just intuitively on the right track. And I'm wondering why so many other people, some are getting brainwashed, who are much younger and have access to so many information, that part in them.
Yeah. It's like when Hermann Goering was on trial at the end of the Second World War, he said, how did you get so many people to go along with it? And he said, all that you need to do is get people afraid. And that's a quote from him. And he was a master of that, just. So we watching that happen on our watch here. And I'm also, like for me, I'm always interested to kind of, like we all have that capacity, like we go to the fridge, we see how much food there is, and when do we next need to go shopping. So we have that capacity to kind of look and see, how we need to function. And so right now we're at a time when there's a lot of pressure to not be inconvenienced and to be able to move freely and all that kind of stuff. Based, if it's, what's that based on? It's based on a PCR test, which even the maker of the test said that it's not accurate. So, there's there's these people making policy that actually in my view, don't have business to make the policy. But it's impacting all of us. And then it's like collectively, if we start to look, what's behind that? You know, where's this trying to go, so to speak? And we get some glimpses of it when you see, okay, the next thing is wanting everyone to have vaccine passports, wanting the great reset, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. I mean, there's a number of things in play that this story that we're being told is being used for. So again, you can look for yourself and see, okay, here we are. We see that, I mean, the facts that I know is that there's literally thousands of doctors who say that there is actually a very inexpensive way to treat people. But when they speak up, even though they've had experience and they've saved many, many people's lives, they stand to lose their licenses. So we're seeing something strange unfolding. At the, you know, a few months ago, hospitals were being paid for any positive COVID report, that they could report a positive COVID. And they were also getting money for COVID deaths. Where in the history of humanity has that ever happened before? I mean, when you just that enough should make any person with a little bit of common sense question what the hell's going on here. And then when you start seeing things like every news agency around the world coming up with almost the exact same words on the exact same day, you got to go, wait, something's going on here. It's a little bit strange. To my mind anyway, maybe not to anyone else's, but for me, it just definitely raises some quite big red flags. And then, I mean, again, you know, if you get the information from television, mainstream media, so to speak, we live in a time where if you track and see who owns most of the media, big media in the world, it's the same few people. So we do live in interesting times, but the thing is, then how do we navigate this without remaining at peace and being here? Being here with our hearts open and being willing to give information to people that have interest without trying to push it down anybody's throats, but just being available for that and being available to be at peace so that, you know, there's something to bounce off of. So just remaining at peace, remaining with what we love the most, and just watching, I mean, using this as an opportunity to really watch what goes on in ourselves, because it's intense times. I mean, I see, you know, I post something on Facebook and some of the comments I get are so virulent, and I would say, yeah.
Did you hear this, Isaac, about these 50 actors in Germany who just a few days ago, they sent clips about what you're talking in a little bit comical way. And it was such a shitstorm. I don't know if you heard it, that they make immediately with a politician and a big blah blah in Germany, basically. Basically, when you're honest and give your opinion, it got immediately smashed, but many people were happy that finally somebody's talking out what many people are thinking of. But I
Yes,
think
I
there's
know. Yeah.
fear.
And you have to be, it's like you have to be courageous. Like in Australia right now, there's a woman, a female advocate who was starting a class action suit against the government in Australia for representing, I don't know how many people, but hundreds of people for, she she feels she has legal grounds for that what's been done has not been lawful. And they've taken her license away. I mean, that's pretty, taking an attorney's license away so that she can't do the lawsuit. I mean, there's so much happening that's completely, I would say, crazy, that, you look at it, you go, wow, how can this be happening in a free society? And there has been no open debate between various experts that have a chance to say, listen, we see it differently. So, but it's curious. I asked the question before, just what's the agenda? What's this all being used for? When you just tune in, is it for the benefit of all people, like it's been spoken of look, you're doing all of this to keep other people safe? I mean, it's a fantastic PR program. Or is it to get control of humanity in a way that is not in everybody's best interests? So to me, to begin to answer that question, it's like, if I look, the monetary system on the planet is not human-friendly or planet-friendly, as far as I can see. And neither is the political system. And we've gotten now a mix of both of those, where money has crept into politics in a way that makes it in the hands of a very few very wealthy people. And, just kind of curious, where is it that they're trying to steer the world? So, and again, if it's possible to look at that without getting freaked out, if freaked outness happens, can we just rest with it and go, okay, well, George Orwell wrote that book, 1984, which was, I mean, pretty amazing. He kind of foresaw which direction it was heading in. And Aldous Huxley too, with Brave New World. So there's been a few people that have kind of painted the picture. And so we find ourselves here. And then how do we bring ourselves, if this is what you're seeing and feeling and sensing, how do you bring yourself to it without getting lost in it, maintaining a quality of life where you're still dancing, where you're enjoying the sunshine and nature and the things you love? Because if that gets out of balance, then it's yeah. So to me, that's the question: is, are we able to be aware of what's going on without losing our sense of humor, to put it really simply, but at the same time staying proactive and staying, connected and available to say no if it's true for you to say no, and agree to disagree where there's no possibility of coming into any kind of conversation. So for me, that's the big question, more than, yeah. We've been watching on the world stage, you could say, America pretending to be pro-democracy, and yet at the same time overthrowing other governments and doing all kinds of nasty stuff I mean, literally, terrorism, in my view, is just like going into a country like Iraq on the basis of weapons of mass destruction. Okay, we didn't find any. Okay, but yeah, at least all the oil companies got hold of the oil fields. And the average Iraqi people now have no more running water. They don't, they bomb back to the Stone Age. And yet, so what? It's not us. Same thing, with Libya. Just crazy stuff going on. You read about it in the news, but man, it's unbelievable what's going on. And so we're here, and how do we navigate this? Just seeing what's going on, actually in our name in a certain way, so that we can continue with a certain lifestyle at the cost of other cultures, other parts of the world. And, I guess in all of us is a wish that everybody can live well and have a good life. And at the same time, it's like there's many things for us to look at. How do we spend our money? How do what are our values? All those kind of things, because that's how our participation happens in what's going on. So just taking a moment, as we're starting to talk here, what do you feel in your body, mind? You can feel it touches something in all of us, I think, at least if I'm feeling correctly. And just let's take a moment to be present to that and just, okay, here we are. We're in this time. And there's an interest in being in life in a way that I say is beautiful and that actually, allows life to move on. Marcus, I saw you speaking, but I didn't hear anything. I'm not sure if you're speaking to me. Are you speaking in your environment? Okay. Hey, Lily.
Okay. That is such a profound point you made, to stay with it. And I got very involved and very upset very quickly when it started, and even now when we are in lockdown. And then through sitting with you and doing this and having remembered to where I'm to this point for me, it was so obvious that the frequency of this, whatever this is, like you say, what are they after and all that, is very hard destroying low frequency. And it's important for us to watch not to stay in that, even if it will affect, and it does, and I can feel it in my gut quite. It's a primal kind of level that I feel it in. For me, it also happens that I was brought up in a communist country, and we fled from there as a family to the free country. And it's double mindfulness, because it is an opportunity, and I have it, to be mindful in the frequency, as opposed to feel like a second wave in my life of feeling suppressed, because this is suppression, and it's very, very obvious.
Just it comes up as you were talking, and I hear often how we talk about what they are doing, and I'm curious if we can find a way to speak of it, because it's, it's like when we say they, it's like, for sure, there's, it's like there are some people that have power that are pushing a certain agenda, but how can I say, it's also, if we look at it, it's all one consciousness.
Yes.
And so it's an aspect of consciousness that's playing out in that way.
Yes. Okay. That
Yeah,
is such
and-
a, yeah. Okay. All right.
but it's, you know, it's just, but it's similar in a way, you know, like if we look at our society, and our society is set up in a certain way, and then we have some people that are working 2-3 jobs just to kind of sustain life, and they, you know, their kids, they live in poorer neighborhoods, and their kids,
Yeah.
you know, like the nearest shop only sells, you know, like nothing organic or nothing good to eat, Coca-Cola and stuff. And then those kids become involved in gangs and all of this stuff. And somehow, you know, like it's easy to point a finger, but there's a system, there's like a system playing that, yeah, you know, it's tricky to kind of, wow, okay, how do we address it
Yeah.
without pointing a finger and like that? It's just like, you know, sorry, and I interrupted you, but it just came to me just
No, because
yeah,
I
when we speak
appreciate
of
it
they,
very
yeah,
much.
yeah,
Because it is freeing the way looking at it, and it's more real looking at it this way. It is freeing. It is.
yeah. And
I
the
can.
the big question for me is,
Okay.
it's like, can we speak about anything? I mean, life, death, anything, and still,
Yeah.
you know, just watch where it touches something in us, but at the same time, not get caught up in it. And, you know, for sure, I know that being caught up has happened in me around this issue. It's really touched me deeply, and
Yeah.
watching what's going on and seeing people I love running to take the vaccine and being very proud of it. And I'm going, whoa,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
From everything
Yeah.
I'm reading and seeing, it's like, it doesn't seem very wise to me.
No.
You know, just from it's, again, that's something that I've been following, is that there's so many injuries happening from the vaccines that are not being spoken about honestly.
No, they're not.
That
Yeah.
is, yeah, that is, and then, and some very reputable people whose field is immunology, and in fact, the guy that, one of the guys that worked for developing vaccines for most of his adult life has come out really strongly saying that,
Yeah.
he really believes that this is a travesty what's happening, just in terms of what, I mean, you know, to say what I've heard, I'm not a medical expert, but what I've heard a number of people saying is that it's not even a vaccine, it's
It's an RNA modifier.
yeah, they've used the categorizing as a vaccine to get through stuff that actually shouldn't have gotten through. But that the effects that it has on the nervous system is that, first of all, it's going to produce new strains, and it's also going to produce the nervous system responding to other challenges in a way that will be very harmful to the person.
The system,
So,
yeah.
so
Mm.
it's yeah, and you know, I understand people want to be able to travel and wanting to be able to
Wow.
see parents who are old and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
and kids and grandkids and all that stuff. And you know, like now, probably many of you have heard, in Israel these days, if you haven't been vaccinated, they don't even let you go on buses or go to the cinema or go to the supermarket. I mean, it's like, there's like a complete split in society. And yeah, it's not mandatory, but wow, if you don't get it, your
You
life
find out.
you're severely curtailed. So
Going back to your point that it is in this consciousness that this is created, and I said it's freeing, but I also noticed that like with everything else, when automated systems are in place, whether this is an automated or I think it's consciously created, however, there is some drive. It's pointless to try to figure it out because I think it's pointless. But yes, we can see the end result, which is possibly the end of humanity, and possibly in the next 50 years or past my lifetime. I don't know. But it's what you said a while ago, is that maybe our place is to keep on being and emanating light as much as, you know, each one and one of us can. And keep that within.
Yeah, and there's a whole range, you know, it's like to give, you know, like, what, you know, it's one thing to just pretend nothing's happening.
Yes.
It's another to just follow laws blindly. It's another to start standing up in some way. And so there's a whole range of, you know, how, and I don't think there's one size fits all. I think all of us are going to find what's, like if I use the example of the Second World War, you know, like some people became part of the resistance. Some people were, you know, like started to try and assist people that were being exterminated, Jews and Gypsies and others, and risked their lives to do that. There were many different ways of participating.
Yeah.
And, you know, like today I just got an email from a friend of mine. He went to one of the doctor's offices in town here and asked them for what is the informed consent that they give people before they give them a vaccine. And when he looked at it, he said, this is rubbish. There's no, you can't construe this as informed consent. So he's asking for volunteers to sit outside the medical practice with actual sheets of paper that show what true informed consent is about. So, you know, he's an activist, and that's his style of functioning, and I resonate with it. I like it. I'll see if I end up showing up there.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's just so many different ways to play, and you can play in a way. And that's the other thing. Millions of people take to the streets, and you never see it on mainstream news. Never.
No. And they've done it here in Perth on the same day, 29th of March. Yeah. And they're going to do it in May as well. But see, I personally, and just recognizing where I am, I don't have the courage to go.
That's fine.
But I will forever feel and think and emanate freedom. However, I can feel that's coupled with being revolutionary. So it's very fine line there. You know, like, because that revolutionary thing actually has got an element of hate and all of that anger. And you don't want to go in there with that.
No,
I think.
yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, around this area in Byron, there's a whole community organized where they go around informing shopkeepers where they've refused entry to people without masks, and going, you know, look, we're part of the same community, and it's just, you know, these are mandates, and it's not your job to enforce them. It's your job to tell people, but it's not your job to enforce it.
That is
and
a very,
and so just empowering them, not making them wrong, just saying, are you aware that if you refuse someone entrance to your shop based on that they're not wearing a mask, that you personally could be liable for a lawsuit? And, you know, obviously none of us want to do that and start, you know, but it's just that it's important that you're aware of that.
Yeah.
Also, this whole thing of signing in with when you go to restaurants and stuff, it's not legal.
I don't have it on my phone, and I write what I want.
Lily, I actually want this to be more like a general conversation, not just you and me. So
I'm going to let this.
Yeah. So, you know, there's those initiatives happening in this little area. But again, like I say, there's so many ways that people can participate. And it just depends on where you feel drawn. And I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to it. I just think first thing is to recognize, wait a second, there's something a little fishy going on. And then seeing how that fits for you. For some people, they go, look, yes, I recognize there's something fishy, and this is an untested experiment being done on humanity at large. And so, you know, I'm not going to get jabbed unless I really want to go and see a parent or something. Then maybe I'm willing to take that risk. So I'm seeing people take that stance. But there's no knowing what's going to happen down the road from that. Hi, Najma. Welcome to speak.
Hi, Isaac.
Hi.
Here's Viola. Hi.
Ula. Ah, okay.
Viola.
Viola. Viola. Okay.
Sorry.
I thought Najma. Okay, no problem. Thanks. Speak.
Yes. It's a quite.
Oops, you just got muted. Viola, just on the bottom left of your screen, there's a little red button. Yeah, good. You're unmuted again.
Okay, can you hear me? Fine.
No, I hear you.
So, yes, it's a quite strange time. I live in the north of Germany, and yes, I stay connected with my family and open.
Yeah, so one of the things that I see, Najma, you're not unmuted yet, is how can we support each other as we're going through this? Because really to hold hands in all the touches that are coming up is extremely valuable as far as I can see. And that's why I think getting together like this is useful. Najma?
Yeah, what I wanted to say is that for me, something became obvious when the hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin were not accepted.
Yeah.
And that now even in Holland, people, doctors who use it have to pay. They have to pay a fine if they use it, and it's been proven to help people with breathing problems and for COVID. The other side, Isaac, is that my brother, my 1 year younger brother, got COVID, quite strong. His wife's father died from COVID, and his mother-in-law also had it, his daughters, and his wife, and he very serious. He was on the COVID department in the hospital a few months ago. And it was critical, and that made me also much more aware for their point of view. That for them, it's completely a threat now, and they're happy to be vaccinated. And my sister lives in a mental health institution, and they're all vaccinated. So for me, I can also see why people choose for vaccines. And for myself, I hope it won't be necessary somehow, that I will be the last one, or that there is no, but I find it difficult to maneuver, but there has been I mean, still in contact with my family, and we speak, and my older sister is much more open for my way of looking at the things and being very critical about all the measurements and everything. And my younger nieces as well, but so it's different in the family. And what for me is, I think at the moment, the most difficult is all the information to not get carried away with all the information, to stay, to have peace first is quite a challenge. Yeah. Okay, that's what I wanted to contribute. Sorry.
I think Isaac lost connection, but he's coming in again.
Yeah, sorry, I got thrown out. Yes, so I heard, as far as you said, that some people got COVID and
Yeah,
died on the damage moment. But let me just tell you something there. As far as I know, COVID has still not been identified. There is a strain of flu going around, and it's an intense flu. But this whole story about COVID, there's a lot of yes, people do get sick, and people do have after effects. There's no doubt. I know that to be true. But the thing is, with it, there's so much information around in terms of, they track deaths, overall deaths in the whole world, and there has not been a rise of deaths.
I know this, Isaac, and I've seen all the numbers, and I know also my youngest brother, he's 62 now, a younger brother, but he came through it. He's now on he was good with he was a tennis champion local, and he's now on his bike again, and everything's normal. And only the group above 80 usually are people who can die from it, and also now and again somebody younger, but it also happens with cancer. So for me that's clear, but I could now much more understand their point of view, and that for them it's very threatening. He's been on oxygen, even on home he has to carry these oxygen things for maybe a few weeks. So for them it's total threat, and that I'm more open for that. That's what I
Yes, of course. Look, I understand it, but then you take into account that the doctors aren't allowed to use drugs that they know work.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I mean, that's a little bit, I've seen people talking about how many people they've saved in their practices, and they say how many people have died unnecessarily or have unnecessary after effects because they couldn't use the drugs that they know work.
Yeah, that's horrible.
How many suicides have there been? How many, divorces from being locked down together? How many? One thing I know that children that have had to wear masks going to school, the trauma that's going on for kids is unbelievable. I mean, the what's happening doesn't make sense to my brain. You see a country like Sweden, they didn't lock down and life didn't end. And then now in India, you hear about how bad it is in India, but it somehow coincides with after they started to give millions of vaccinations. I mean, where do you get clear information in this? There's not honesty in the reporting. So here we are. I think we're using our common sense as best as we can, but there's something very weird going on that is not rational. I mean, you see, like, people aren't allowed to go to weddings or church, but yet they can go to big soccer matches, or there's curfew, so COVID somehow comes out more after 10 o'clock at night or something. I mean, stupid stuff. Really stupid stuff. You can't go into these little mom and pop stores, but you can go into these major big supermarkets like Costco. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. There's no, you know, and then you start to see people that know stuff and they talk about, you know, are these masks effective at all? And they're not. Andreas, there's a few people that have their hand in front of you, and I'll definitely call on you. So Liz was next, and then Miss Delmar. When I say Liz, Judith. Sorry. Judith, where are you?
Here I am. Hi,
Hi.
Isa. For me, it was new that you spoke about the after effects of vaccines for other people. And I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit more about that. Especially, I'm also in a situation that I have a clear no to the vaccination, and it's just my gut feeling. And Martha wants to be vaccinated. And I found that already very difficult to be with.
For sure.
And it breaks my heart in a sense that he wants to move in that direction.
Yeah.
And what you say, the helplessness of the powerlessness, and I can't speak much because the resistance is quite strong.
Strong, yeah.
And
you know, rather than I can just tell you, it's worth Googling it and just seeing. There's one guy, in my view, that's doing an excellent job, which is the Highwire, Del Bigtree. He puts out a lot of really good information, but there's a lot of places. The Highwire, H-I-G-H.
Highwire.
Yeah, he just came to mind first of all. But women that have not been vaccinated, that have spent time with other women that have been vaccinated, are noticing that the cycles are changing, that they're starting to menstruate again, all kinds of stuff. Unusual happenings, you could say. But also, there's this, you know, so new. That's the whole difficulty. So people are trying to, you know, let other people know what's going on so that people can make informed decisions, you could say. But yes, there has been documented that people that have not been vaccinated are actually getting adversely affected by people that have been.
Wow.
So it's especially if you're intimate with somebody.
Yeah. It's important to be aware that
it's
can happen.
It's important to be aware, and it is crazy times. It is so. It's an experiment being done on all of humanity without informed consent, with a lot of pressure, and with some companies standing to make billions and billions of dollars with no indemnity. And these companies have not, you can say, do not have integrity. They've been sued multiple times. They've come out with things like thalidomide that had huge effects on humans. You know, when DDT first came out, they claimed it was safe. Parents were putting it on their kids' hairs for lice. And then afterwards, oh no, sorry, this is actually poisonous, and it goes into your tissue and it's very hard to get it out. But, you know, it's like it's an industry that, I don't trust at all. I mean, So look, and if you can't find, then I'll start, you know, I'll send you some stuff as I come across it. There's so much, I just don't keep track of it all.
I understand.
First of all, I don't want to be watching this stuff 24 hours a day. It's too much.
Me too. It's also what I'm not doing because, you know, my sense still is how important it is to do your own work and to keep yourself aligned as much as possible.
Yeah, true. And I'm sorry to hear what's happening there with Martin, because I know it's not easy to.
No.
I get it. Okay.
Thank you.
Miss Delmar. please.
Hi there.
Hi.
Yeah, just hearing that, and my boyfriend's had his vaccination, and I pretty much, oh well, that's okay. What can I do? I'm not going to be scared, because I know, I feel this is more harmful to me, this fear. Yeah, I just, and I feel like I can't control what everyone else does, and I really feel so much stronger in the midst of this madness. What can I do? And what I wanted to ask you was about your retreats, because I don't want to, I just feel like I haven't read much stuff, but I don't feel I want to get the vaccine. I've had, not very good experiences with medicine. And my body's been quite affected. But I'd love to come and see you. I don't know what's happening. Do you have any ideas about your travel or what's happening with that?
Intuitively, I would say that the direction that it seems to be going at the moment, I don't think people are going to be able to travel without a vaccine. And so then I'm out. I will not.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's still, there's a lot going on. I think in almost every country in the world, there are court cases against the government. For what's happening, and if any of them prevail anywhere, it's going to be a domino effect. So there's some very high profile and powerful lawyers that are fighting this. And so it can change it, and it can change quickly. At the moment, it's almost impossible to get out of Australia.
Yeah, wow.
You've got to have major reasons, and they won't tell you. You got to book your flight and all that stuff, and then you get let known at the last minute whether they'll allow you to go out, and they're only letting a few people out, and so. It's a bit.
Do you think possibly it may happen that just with negative tests, they'll, maybe in a year or two, they might start being more lenient with and letting you travel if you've had negative tests?
Well, that's again, it just depends on how far you go with this story. Those tests contain on the tip of them a cancer-producing agent that you're putting up right next to your brain. So, and in truth, this, it's, again, it just depends on how far you look into this thing. So it's like, it's not necessary to test that way, actually. And the tests are very, like if you test 10 men for pregnancy, one man is going to test positive. 1 in 10. Is he pregnant? Absolutely not. If the accuracy of these tests, I've seen various ranges that people say that are experts in the field, it's like 30 to 50% inaccurate. So, you're going to base flying on whether you get a negative test. Wow. To me, it doesn't make sense. And then on top of it, that on the tip of that thing, there's a sterilizing agent that they use that is highly cancer forming. So, yeah, it's again one of these things. It's like shit,
So we see how things develop.
We see, for me, It's funny, you know, it's like one way of looking at it is that we're actually in the Third World War. But it's a war that's being waged actually on the population. It's crazy. It's like, and so, you know, how do you move in these times when you see that on, you know, like on every front, there's this craziness that's not clear information, not no open debate, you know, just wow. Normally, you know, doctors would come together and say, look, this is what I'm using and it works, but that doesn't happen at all at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, there is a Zoom retreat coming up where, I mean, and they're pretty powerful, but you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. So
yeah, I also Zoom sometimes can bring on migraines, so I don't want to do too much. But
no,
this I love. It's being available. It's brilliant, and for everyone, it's being here. It's lovely.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, if it was possible, then I would look into it. But at the moment, just it's not even on the horizon for me. Yeah. So there's three people: Andreas first, then Michael, and then Jennifer. Please, Andreas.
Hi, Isaac. Hi, all.
Hi. Yeah. Good to see you.
Well, the way for me through that was first getting the facts you mentioned, also get it straight.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah. And what comes more and more is whatever the information is, the reaction, the emotional imprint, feels much more important.
Yeah.
And not only go into the observer state, but I know I do a lot of family constellation and emotional work to really, when I get the information, stay what I can feel in me, what emotion or filter comes up.
Yes.
And when I can't hold the emotion, it triggers that I can see in me.
Yeah.
And it's always a connection of a lot of emotions, from rage to fear, to shame, all this helplessness.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, it was interesting for me. The first lady, Liliana, spoke about they do it. And immediately there was a strong reaction. Only with the word say, it's anonymous, it's above me. I had a strong reaction in the body. Well, and try to differentiate it and hold it.
Yeah.
And this comes up when something in a family constellation does a work and you feel it in a group or field. And I remembered or connected it to the Facebook days all day and looking for information, really to feel it and hold it, whatever comes up, and I can differentiate fear, helplessness, grief, and really get it and separate it.
Yeah.
This is this emotion, this is, and then you can join the observer, but the steps in between, the filters, that's what I can feel or see is the real interesting thing in what comes up now on these days.
I'm on the same page. For me, I've gotten so much value out of just watching the triggers that happen in this system.
Yes.
And just really going deep into it and not stopping.
And even expand it, because when it's like this, you don't get it, you're triggered out. But if you can hold it, it's a connection to the field. And a connection to all. And also the connection in a group when a feeling comes up.
100%. And that's why I started off this meeting the way I did.
Therefore, it was very well, I came in. And one part has to be facts, straight. But the other one
is even more important.
It's the emotional language where I can feel, for me, I can reconnect. If I'm too much in the facts. And so for me, also over the internet, it goes very well to connect with a special emotion, and you can hold it, and all are in that field together. But somehow you have to speak it out and point to it, and not go over it. So it's a little bit my.
Thank you, and I've appreciated the things that you've sent me. There's been good information there, so thank you.
Thank you all.
Michael. You need to unmute still, Michael. There's if you want to talk. In the bottom left corner of your screen, there's a little red button. Sylvie, can you unmute Michael?
Okay, now you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks the speaker before. Two things to share. First of all, what I really get is how important nature is in all, because I find out I'm living not far away from the outside, friends living in mountains. And it's such a difference. And I now live in nearly flat at the River Rhine. And there's a deep difference between getting the hold of the mountains in all the dizziness going around, that something is really from nature that stabilizes from the mountains. It's really just another energy. And this is very interesting to feel, to resource in a special landscape. This I find very, very interesting for me to get it clear. And I spoke to people, and they who was very in a good perception, they say the same. This is very, really help to see.
And you see, but this is where, when there's a lockdown and you're not allowed to leave your apartment for months, this has happened in a number of places in the world. You cannot even go outside for 1 hour a day, maybe.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So this is this. I'm really so. This is one thing I'm so glad of, to have the nature around the mountains. This is one thing. The other thing I want to ask you, and this is there I am with the friends at the moment. No, and we are just 1 year having the scenery. After 4 or 3 months, maybe we can say we have to check up. For me now, I really know and feel what's going on. It's now 1 year. And the question that rises at the moment for me, I know what's going on. And the thing is, the question is, what is going to be next? One thing from the perspective of the nerve system is there still a capacity in the nerve system for the people in order to do something new, or to go into action, more or less. And the other thing is to see if there is the possibility to act, or is it from the environment, the thing that the reptilian brain comes and see. I think we have to really look to get something safe in order, where can I get food, where can I get water. So this is one thing we are really asking in our communities. And the third thing is the wu-wei thing. Doing nothing, and on the other hand, there is a lot to do. So in a deeper way, to see what is wu-wei at the moment. And the last speaker says, okay, what I can feel is everything arises in me, as you said, and I feeling the last 5 days I was really in a quiet mood, and I think lots of energy is coming from the angels or from a bigger space in order to support deeply. But now I'm in the position that I really want to go next week with a group to Assisi. And Franz from Assisi, who embraced the people in the pandemic for 800 years. And now it's getting very interesting that it's a punishment to go with a group to Italy. And now I'm for myself in the decision, do I have such a deep trust that I go with 10 people to Assisi, going to 2 borders in order to pray there, where nobody is there and the police is around. So I'm at the moment for the decision, do I cancel or I go with the group to Assisi in order really to go to the next step. So can you tell something about the wu-wei in all this? What is for you the wu-wei? Because something has to be done. I want to have lawyers because when I don't want and I want to do some things, I have to pay really a lot of money, and then I have not money. So I really want to have a lawyer, or really to say we have to look for our rights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what's come for me out of this whole story is that I'm not sure in Germany, but in many countries there's a law, there's what they call common law, which is deeper than all the laws of the country. But it's a whole nother way of thinking, and it's a whole nother language. And to really get proficient at it it's a learning, a big learning. I go to these groups where I'm learning about, so many distinctions and how to interface with, you could say, people that are coming with aggression in a way that invites a dance rather than going into a fight.
Yeah.
But also that maintains that you know what your rights are and you know how to speak them. So, it's like when I've been amazed to hear some of these guys that have been studying it for years. Yeah, they have such a different sense of themselves and how to navigate this stuff. And it's inspiring to me. It's really...
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's a learning. Again, I can give you, there's a guy by the name of Tom Barnett. He's got videos up where he speaks about this stuff, and you can learn through him. And there's a bunch of people that are offering education, you could say. And so just a simple little thing, like if a traffic policeman asks you for your license, first of all, you know, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can dance around even showing them a license. But if you do give them your license and they say, is this your license? You say, no, I have the use of that license. This license actually belongs to the state.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes,
and they say, is your name Michael? You say, no, it's a name that I use. It's not my name.
Yes, yes.
So
yes, I know the guys. Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's therefore I know the guys a little bit in the region. They belong to this way of doing it, and yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, good luck if you decide to go, and good luck if you decide to stay.
Yeah, it's a big,
either way. Somebody else asked to speak, and at this moment, my mind is not. Who did I? Someone. I see you, Urja. Oh, Jennifer. There it is. Great, Jennifer. Go ahead, and you can speak after Urja. So Jennifer, you're up if you want to.
Oh,
okay, cool.
I wasn't sure who was. I think for me, the biggest learning in this has been, well, first of all, it just felt like I felt there was a lot of aloneness in this, because I kept seeing that I was seeing things and other people were going in a different direction. So there was a really sense of aloneness here. And then so there was kind of a helplessness in all of this. I mean, that's just how it felt. And then I was hearing more and more people saying, like, taking the vaccination, which in all the research, and we're on the same page with this, it just, I just felt like I had to cry every day for such a long time, for several days. And it was just a sense of letting go and almost facing death.
Yeah.
And these are just things that have happened in the last week, and I've kind of come to a deeper peace in all of it.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
So I'm coming from a space now where, we really didn't have much of a lockdown in Florida. And the thing that was surprising to me is that people have been out in restaurants and going to the beach and going to all these places, flying, and then all of a sudden this vaccine rolled out, and I was like, you literally survived almost a whole year, and now you're worried about a vaccine. I was like, why are you getting it now? I don't understand. I said, because I don't call it a vaccine, it's really an experimental medical device, but the rationale and the fear that's out there was so difficult to navigate for a while, because I kept thinking, why are you getting this?
It's been, the whole thing has been so well, like psychological. You're doing it you're doing it to protect others. Mm-hmm. It's just like a selfless act. And I mean, it's like,
it's selfless act, and then there's the guilt on the side, like, you're not doing it, you are the one. And I kept saying, this thing does not, they say it doesn't stop you from getting it, it doesn't make you stop you transmitting it. So I'm like, so what's the point anyway? And then exactly. The guilt, but it's the guilt that, I was going, because here there's parties, there's nothing stops. And the conversations now, I stopped going. Well, first I heard about the shedding, and I'm like, all right, I'm out. But the conversations, people were going, oh, my entire family got it, and everybody's like proud of it, and trying to make you like, oh, you're not doing this, so now you're bad, you're wrong. And I was like, it was almost too much to listen to anymore. Like the rationale in people,
I can't believe I've lost when there's a whole bunch of people that I considered beloveds who won't even talk to me anymore. They consider I've gone off the deep end.
Yeah, so the polarization in this, it's like you can't even have a conversation anymore. You can't, you either have to be on their team or you're on this team. And people that I literally thought would never take this, there's one person, if you told me I'd bet $1 billion that this one person, a spiritual teacher, someone who eats organic, no sugar, I mean, all this, her daughter said that if she doesn't take it, she's not coming home. And her fear of not seeing her child was so overwhelming that she went and took it. And after that, I was like, that kind of just ended it for me. I had to stop getting caught up in it because it was starting to really affect me. So now that I feel much more at peace, but I felt in that helplessness that some kind of action has to be taken. So for me, I had to find, like you said, I had to find something. So right now I've decided to go in Florida there. It's almost past the no vaccine passport. So I decided I want to work on that team. And I just put that hat on and I started, and it felt like,
fantastic.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like if we're going down with the Titanic, at least I need to try to do something.
Jennifer, good on you. In Australia, they have the saying, good on you. Or even shorter, on you. Good, it's short for good on you. Fantastic that you feel moved that way.
Yeah.
And I've heard about that this guy in Florida is really pushing to ban that. And that's
done a
fantastic.
great job. But also there's another thing coming on here called, it's called the Resurrection Tour. It's called Arise America or USA. And they're doing like an 84 city tour starting in May. And it's Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, who's amazing. The woman in California, Lee Dundas, who the lawyer, she's on the team, Sasha Stone. So they're all coming together on a big bus, and they're going through 84 cities to just start getting people to have awareness and conversation and get people. And I just feel it feels drawn to like be part of that somehow.
Oh, fantastic.
So other than
It'll be an adventure. It'll be an adventure for sure.
Sure, exactly. And at this point, at first it was killing me every time I heard someone say, oh, I got the vaccine. And now it's just like, I don't know, I start singing this song, another one bites the dust in my head, because it's like, and it's okay either way, but now there's a group that is okay if you do or you don't. But there are other people that are they're ostracized you either way. And I don't want to exclude anyone because they've taken it. Why are you
that's why I started the conversation. That's why I started the conversation with, it is a function in consciousness that if someone really does something that you absolutely don't believe in, that something wants to exclude them out of your world. And I can see it. I know that movement in myself.
Yeah.
And
how can we bring that back together where we can be
just to notice it and just to feel it in yourself, and then to start feeling what's underneath it, because there's layers there. It's like there's a, how could I say, socially, and maybe Andreas could speak more, there's this need for having an aligned agreement about reality, about what's important and all that stuff. And when someone steps out of that, like from Plato's cave, we'll kill them. Someone steps out of, so
it feels like a sense, at first it started feeling like a sense of rejection from people.
Oh, for sure.
In both directions. And I could see I was doing it as well.
Yeah.
But then, something in me started saying, how can I I don't know.
See, what attracted myself was when I could see that people that were going for the vaccine were starting to take humanity in the direction of vaccine passports. So to me, it felt like that actually they were impacting my life in a way. So that touched like an existential layer of fuck,
Sure.
And once I could just get quiet with that, and I could see, okay, wait a second, you know, that movement to then, you know, speed up and try and get them to recognize and all that stuff wasn't useful. And then I could slow down, I could just be with, and then just see, look, you know, it's in a way, when I look at socially how it functions, if there's someone that has completely different interests to you, normally we don't hang out with them. You know, if someone's an alcoholic and it's not your thing, you probably wouldn't have much to do with them. And but it's similar in a way I see with many of our parents. I mean, if they weren't our parents, we probably would have nothing to do with them. And some of our siblings, you know, it's just so, but because they, you know, they fit in this thing of parents or whatever the thing is, we get sentimental or whatever. But if I just look at it, it's like, okay, yes, that's my sister or my brother or my mother or whatever. But how much do I actually have in common? Not much. And so I can still honor, yes, that's, you know, like that place in my psyche of mother, but I also recognize I can't really have a conversation, or I couldn't when my mother's passed since now. But yeah, it's yeah, in a way, it's all bringing us home. Just by the way, just if you do go on that tour and you get met by policemen that are coming to arrest you, the language that you speak to them is, look, I'm coming with you under duress because I see that you're armed and dangerous. So I'm willing to come with you. Do you need to handcuff me, or is it okay that I come with you under my own recognizance? And so that oftentimes diffuses things, and that, you know, you're not fighting with them and shame on you and all that stuff, which is oftentimes what happens. But you're just going, look, I see you doing your job, and you know, I'm coming with you under duress because you're armed, and from my perspective, you're dangerous. So, because, yeah, most of the fines and all that stuff never stick, by the way, just to let you know that they just don't, they don't stick. So they try and intimidate you and scare you and all that stuff. And it's, for sure, it'll be an exciting tour, no doubt.
I mean, hopefully it won't turn. I mean, I'm just going to be in the local here group. I don't know if I'll join them, although I thought about getting a Harley and going on tour. The whole tour.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but
in Australia, you know, like
a ship was happening when it first happened, and I've come to peace with that because I went full out on my family, and there's only one out of all of them who've taken it. So I felt like, well, you know, at least somebody listened. But other times it felt like a war, and I just said I can't be in this war anymore.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, just in Australia, like some people also got on a bus and they went around the country inviting people whose children had been injured by vaccines to have a place to tell their story. That was it. And man, they got harassed, the police hounded them, they got chased out of cities, and that's all they were doing. They were not trying to tell people to get vaxxed or not, just giving a space for people who'd been suffering because having their kids, some of them, you know, their lives completely ruined. They're stuck in wheelchairs, they're stuck at the age that they got the vaccine, they can't. And nobody to talk to, no one would believe them. And so just have some place where they could talk. And man, they got hammered, but they did it and they completed it. But it's,
Yeah, well, thank you for having this, because it just feels great to be able to hear other people's voices and to be able to express without being shut down. And that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah.
I'll let somebody else go. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Urja.
Yeah. Now, I was wanting to share about yesterday. It was a King's Day, and usually it's a very celebrating day. And first it was the king on TV. That was strange. There was no public, nothing, but there was a beautiful song about our house. It's a very, very, very nice house. And it was really touching, as if you feel everybody is in the house watching the TV, seeing the king. And usually it's with a lot of crowd and celebration. But anyway, it's difficult to say one thing, just one thing. And what I want to say, it's like there is a lot of conflict inside people, and together with different, the nurses in the hospital, they have a busy life. But yesterday I was in the Vondel Park to begin with, and it was such a celebration. Nobody think about COVID. There were really circles of orange to sit on, and it felt like, okay, we have to keep the distance, but of course the distance fell off, and there was a lot of hassle there. I was a little bit on the distance because I'm a little bit in the middle, like I want to protect myself and others, but I also want to just provoke it a little bit in the park because everybody is doing it, especially young people. I felt so really turned on by the energy, and then at a certain moment the Vondel Park was locked, so you couldn't really go out but also not go in, and I was in. I thought, well, I'm in, but when I go out I cannot go in. But there was another party where I should go near my house in the park, but then we have 3 different groups apps. One want to create a festival, the others are against it, then from that app come to that app to say it's not allowed, it's a naked beach, we only do peaceful fire, blah, blah, blah. And I felt, okay, where am I here? Do I like fire or festival or locked up in the Vondel Park? Anyway, to keep it short, then I have to go from the Leidseplein to the metro to go to the other park on the bicycle. And in between, I've seen so many people doing as if it was a normal Queen's Day, and it was a liberation, it was a kind of, wow, you make a statement, at least to the whole world news, that we don't believe Corona is around. It is, but it is not that moment there. At that moment, it's not there. And then I was in the other park near my house. There were also little barbecues with 10 people, 5 people. And I went to the naked beach and I realized, oh, it's very quiet here, meditative. That's the other group who want to meditate. And there I found out the people who should do the fire and with the drums went to a Twiske, that is in the north of Amsterdam, a totally different park. And then I was writing in the app to the guy who is, because it's the Wim Hof group, they swim in the cold water. And I saw, oh, they're in the Twiske, but it was another group. So I was totally confused, but I wrote in the Wim Hof group, hey, where are the people? Where is the fire? Because here,
Urja,
it's only
Urja, I'd like to keep this on track, Yeah, I understand. So I get, it's important to be able to speak your experience, but I'd like to keep it on track here.
I won't try to keep it focused. I only want to share that what you were saying before about if you take a position, you want, and it is always related to COVID, of the rules, how the rules are. You get all these opinions in these apps, and then somebody said, we don't want to discuss in the app about a festival or a quiet space or COVID or no COVID rules. we are just swimming, but it's impossible when you want to organize something and you want everybody to be in. But then somebody says, I am the one who created this groups app, and I decide what the rules are. But that's only in the app, that is not on the field where the happening is really happening. Anyway, for me it was now still it's confusing, but I was also proud of Holland, that there was in Arnhem, there was a crowd on the street. There was in Haarlem, in Amsterdam, in Rotterdam, in Den Haag, everywhere were crowds celebrating King's Day as a provocation. We believe there is COVID and that hospitals are over full and there is a danger, of course, but to limit the life to sing our house is a very, very nice house, it's touching, but it's not the real solution. You know what?
Just also to address something you said, I keep hearing about these overcrowded hospitals, but then I see nurses saying, we've been sitting around for weeks, there's nobody here. And we speak to nurses in other hospitals, the same story. In some places, yes, there is but this whole story of overcrowding is overinflated and not true. It's just, it's like, again, it's been presented that way, but it's not actual. Yeah.
In general, it's not actual, but I spoke to a guy with a beach house, and he called his sister who works on the EC, in intensive care. And he didn't want to open up the beach house because now you can have all the terraces in Holland again. And there is a big discussion about open it or not. It's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. But the sister was on the telephone and she said, yeah, I also want to sit on the terrace in the sun and drink and have party. But it is over full in my hospital, in her hospital. And then you really feel the energy that somebody is overloaded with the stress of the situation and there is no way out. But in the park was also no way out. It felt also exciting and also dangerous because you feel, oh, maybe police will take me if I stay in this prison of the park. I anyway was going out at a certain moment. Because I felt, okay, it's better now to empty it away. Maybe somebody can go in, but when I was go out, no one could go in anyway. And but it felt a kind of, it's a wave of energy, I would say. It feels like, is this happening? Is it a dream? It felt like a wave of people, the police and the especially young people. I feel kind of turned on by, they want to live, and of course we all want to live. That is the inspiration. And if you are as a group doing this, it's like you feel empowered, like, yes, we want to live. But I don't know if it is good or bad. And what is good? Because I know the hospitals are full in Holland at the moment.
Again, I would check that as a fact. When you say hospitals, there might be one or two that are full, but just check and see, because as far as I know, from what I'm seeing,
Isaac, I just like to add, the Dutch government has closed down 10,000 hospital beds in the last 10 years, and reduced staff, and all kind of bringing hospitals together, just letting hospitals fall down. And last year, the opposition, everybody asked for more healthcare, more beds, more staff, and they said, not necessary, not necessary. And now they're complaining that there is not enough space. So Holland is a bit of a different.
That's what. Yeah. No, thanks for that information. I know it's like there is so much misinformation, and I would say lack of transparency, and it's just it's interesting times. And again, it's good that we
in a park to know we want honesty, we want truth, because that I feel in these young people, they want honesty. They don't know what's true anymore. Even I don't know. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
At least we know that the vaccines are not healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Sylvie?
I'm still in the
Yes, I had a question. I'm going to mute several people because there are 5 people muted now.
Oh, we are.
Okay.
Okay. My question is, what is your intuition about the field at the moment? Because we are in the so-called Great Awakening, and what is pure your intuition about the energy breaking up at the moment or not? Because my feeling is that it's the energy is getting higher and higher, and so I was curious how you experience this.
Yeah. To me, it seems like it's like for some expressions of life, it's awakening, and for others, it's moving into a fear-based, very fear. So there's like quite a polarity at the moment. Yeah. If I had to say percentages, I'd say there's more people on the side of fear than in the awakening side, but it's hard to know. It's like there's a dance going on, you know, and who knows how this will move. It's impossible to, for me, it's impossible to predict right now. But I see there's lots of places where people are standing up, and there's, you know, people that are looking for where, you know, which countries are better to be in at the moment. And I mean, there's lots of movements happening around this. And so yeah, it's interesting to see where it goes. It's just like at the moment there's a huge polarity, and
yeah, there were it was said from spiritual guidance or something that it would be restlessness until 2024 on Earth, and yeah. I just had the feeling that this will take 4 to 6 years also. So
yeah, for me, I see some of those people channeling and speaking, you know, like whatever it is. But I can say I don't know that. I just look at, when I look right now, how it seems to me is like there's been a test to see how this scenario would play out. And so far it's been pretty successful. And but they, you know, like there are all these court cases, and there are more and more people willing to stand up in whatever way. And like I know in Denmark, they wanted to pass some laws, and the Danish people stood outside Parliament banging pots and pans for days until finally that they couldn't do it anymore. So let's see where it goes. It's exciting times. I mean, it's really crazy times. Yeah. And it's really a good opportunity to really explore what happens in you. And it's, you know, in the grand scheme of things, who knows what this is good for? That's what I know. I was just like, I just don't know. I just see, wow, there's a certain element in consciousness that has always been, you know, like racist and wanting to control everything. And then there's the other side where there's interested in living beautiful and free and supporting one another and, you know, fostering community and doing amazing things. So we're watching it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Premanjali, I saw you had raised your hand. Please speak. I think most of you are familiar with the Ramayana, where, in India, Krishna spoke to Arjuna, who was this warrior, and he said, listen, we need to go to war. And, Arjuna said, listen, but these are my uncles and cousins and brothers. And Krishna said, look, well, this is what's happening now. If we don't do anything, this is where it'll go. And if we do fight, this is the possibility. So the same thing has been going on for thousands of years, really. Different scales of it. At the moment, it's global. This is the thing. It's global. It's everywhere. Some countries, like Sweden, there's some sanity. I've heard also that, like in Mexico, people are very mellow. And then you get in the States, there's some places like Florida, which are pretty liberal, and then you get places like California where they're crazy. So it's like this, a wide variety. Like in this little area that I live in, Australia, it's almost rare that you see anyone wearing a mask. And people hug each other. And I mean, some people are a little bit freaked out, but it's like it's like, yeah. And people are organizing. I mean, like Michael was saying, people are organizing. Can we grow our own food because there is like this, again, there's implications for the food supply of the world, I could say that, with what's going on. And wanting, like really, it's going into controlling what people can eat and where they can get food, all of that stuff. If it goes to that extent, I mean, it's, so, there's people here, and I think worldwide, that are looking, can we grow our own food? Can we support each other in the event of these things happening? What can we do? And so I go to those meetings. I like it. I find it informative also to have a community that don't have a truth, I could say what we call truth interest, but who are participating and looking to see community gardens and, there's so many different projects that they got going. It's interesting learning about this common law, and so yeah, going around, like I said, some of these initiatives, going around and informing shopkeepers what their rights are, and someone's printed up these stickers for all the shops. Mine is an essential business. All this stuff, and different kind of stickers with a sense of humor that people are pasting everywhere to inform people. So, I mean, people are having fun with it and also doing some really good stuff.
Thanks so much for doing this, Isaac. I feel so much better now after, and for everyone putting their own experience.
Well, that's part of this thing, is that people have been feeling very alone. And for me, I think it's, where can we talk about this? And it's important. I think it's important. That's why for me, I got so many really rude messages like, look, you're a spiritual teacher, which I'm not. You should stick to that. The information you're giving is going to cause people to die, and you'll be responsible for their deaths. They'll be on your hands. Oh, stuff like that. I mean, you can't believe the nastiness that some people project. And I go, okay, well, unfriend me if you like, or block me. I've had it. I've been blocked by a few people. So, but for me, it felt important to include our humanness and to speak out and just to look, this is, I guess a mistake I made is I didn't always pay attention to which website the posts were on and stuff. So then I got told I was a Trump supporter and I'm far right and all this kind of stuff. But for me, it was never had to do with that. It just had to do with the information from the person, because a lot of times people they were blocked on YouTube, they were blocked on Facebook, and so they were finding any place where they could get their voice heard. And so to me, I didn't care, but maybe that was a mistake, who knows. You know, that's a right-wing site. You shouldn't post anything of theirs. Anyway.
Love you, Isaac. I give it to someone.
If you just take a moment and feel like our vibe together here, just feel how the field is holding this conversation in a different way than at the beginning. Can some of you feel that? I mean, I think some of you can.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. Yeah, great.
I feel like it's a big release.
Yeah,
openness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We live in interesting times. It is like that, you know. And wow, I saw a clip of this one woman on fire, man. She's an attorney, and where she lives, I think in Northern California someplace.
Yeah, she's in Orange County, which is right outside of LA. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And you know, they were trying to bribe the kids to get the jab by giving them donuts and trying to go around parental consent. And man, did she tore them another asshole, I tell you. She really was on fire. She's great. But she told a story at the end about she also had, at one stage of her career, been helping women that had been sex trafficked. And there's this one young woman who'd been in that horrific life for a while. And then one day their captors were being crazy, and they were lining the girls up and putting guns to their heads, and then the girls would start pleading, and then they'd just pull the trigger and shoot them. And they came to her, and she stood up and she said, "Just give me that gun and I'll shoot myself. I don't want to live like this any longer." And when the guy, the leader of that camp, heard that, he let her go. And so she said, you know, the moral of that story was stand up, you know, just don't stay on your knees. But it really touched me, that story. Wow. So, I mean, you know, the parallel with Hitler was millions of Jewish people went to the gas chambers with only 2 or 3 guards. They could easily have stopped it, you know, like if they would have worked together and weren't afraid, they could have easily come out of it, but they didn't. They were afraid. They thought maybe if they towed the line, you know, they would somehow survive, but yeah. So it's here we are.
Say something about survival, because
no, Audrey, I don't want to. When you talk, you just go. Or you're talking just.
No, I only want to say it's about survival a lot in people. Also, what I saw in the park, you know, that's all what I wanted to say, because you talked about survival. I want to contribute that. That was all.
Thank you. Okay. Judith, you wanted to speak?
Yeah, there's still something a bit bothering in me here. And that is about the hospitals here in Holland. And it's true that over the years it has scaled down. But at the moment, there's quite an alarm coming from the doctors and the nurses as well. and that they are under such pressure and already for a year. And the alarm is really that we move in the direction of code black, which means that they had to start to choose which people they can treat and which not.
Yeah.
So
now, if you just balance that with that they're not allowed to use drugs that are known to work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
They like this, what I've seen numerous, and I'm telling you, many doctors talking about that people that came that normally would have to go to hospital and be on a ventilator, when they were given these drugs, they had hardly anybody die. And they're not allowed to use these drugs. So is it a code black or is it a manufactured code black?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's an important distinction, a very important distinction. You know, if you can present a code black, okay, then everybody got to get a vaccine.
Yeah, or it's locked down again because they say
or locked down again, or this promise of lockdown again. I mean, that's coercion to the highest degree. And you know, what can people do? Oh, wow, the hospitals, everybody's saying it, but they're not including, wow, there are drugs, simple drugs, cheap drugs that work.
Isaac,
and
can I
that's
just
a
say one
big part
thing?
of the conversation. Yeah.
In India, they were giving ivermectin prophylactically to the people, and they literally, the whole country was back living life, and then they stopped giving the treatment recently, and they started with these tests, and now they're in a crisis, though they say, because people are getting COVID, and now there's no oxygen and all the different things, and it seems like every time people don't want to take this vaccine agenda, that they pour it on. So that's the part that gets me scared, because I think, oh, are they happy with 30% of the world taking it, or they want 100%? And are they going to keep creating another crisis so that people are forced? That's the part that gets me like, what?
They will. When I say they, again, it's just like, how can I say, it's like, I don't know how many people saw this, but there was a meeting before COVID happened where they spoke about if a pandemic handled, how could they get everybody on board? You can see it.
Event 201. Yeah, you can watch it.
Yeah, no, but there was, and so in a way you could say this has been planned. And I mean, there's, again, just depending how deep you go into it, COVID was patented, way before it even happened. So, I mean, there's just a bunch of bullshit going down. And it's clear that there's billions of dollars to be made under a orientation, I could say, of, in a way, I could say it's like there's an idea that getting rid of a number of people on the planet is actually good for the planet. Now, again, I was on Maui a few years ago when there was a vote for Monsanto, which has a big headquarters on Maui, because they can test their stuff 365 days of the year there, to stop using all their stuff until they could prove it was safe. And so these friends of mine that were trying to organize against, to get people to vote against them being able to continue, they organized these debates between the Monsanto scientists and health officials and different people and doctors. And these Monsanto people were so convinced of their perspective that they were really doing good for the planet. they were trying to feed the world. And, you know, it's like they couldn't hear. There was just no where they could hear, wait a second, you know, since Monsanto's been doing their thing, autism rates have risen, and the you know, like before Monsanto, this was the amount of health problems, and after Monsanto started, this is what's happened since then. And the numbers are irrefutable, but, you know, they couldn't hear it. Andreas.
Is fact. But I got just now at a point where we are losing a lot of people, and we are going with facts, with good facts, we are going over it. And there's so much grief. We are losing so much people.
Yeah.
And to feel this, and yes, straight facts it is, and to explain why and what is going on. But really, for me, it's like I'm the type 2 with too much facts. But in between, feeling this grief that everybody of us loses people, not only by dying, but also by separating in
friendships
and friendships. It's so heavy to feel and so painful.
Yeah.
And maybe we can stay a second in that.
Yeah, thank you. My sense is the importance of what you just said is so important, because that's that gives us the capacity to not split inside ourselves. And super
it's here
important.
in my heart, and here it sits, and whoa, my face.
Jörg, we've come to the end of our time, but I'll let you speak, and then after that we can end.
I wonder if we look from a higher perspective to living and dying, then we might not lose people, but not see people for a while. I just wondered if that could be of help in holding what's going on.
Yeah, you know, to me, it's if we want to explore, we need to explore really what is dying and what is death and what is it that dies. Because if it just stays intellectual, in a way, it's like a bypass. Yeah, so it's an important inquiry, and I hear you, because it is like, you know, okay, we're all going to do that journey. There's no doubt. Although people are working on uploading our consciousness to the cloud and stuff. There's so many crazy things going on. Yeah. I watched an interesting talk with Elon Musk. You know, he's offering $100 million prize to anybody that can come up with a really workable solution for sequestering carbon, for getting carbon out of the oceans and out of the air, and really safely take care of it. And you know, at the same time exploring, starting a colony on Mars. I mean, this guy's mind is really out there. He's a genius, and I mean, for him, it's just interesting to hear his perspective, because he lives in such a different universe. Yeah. Anyway, listen, I appreciate all of you showing up. I know this is not everybody's cup of tea. My own sense of it, we did pretty well in exploring this. It is such a highly charged subject. Thank you for showing up. I love that we can talk about everything and anything. I wish you well, love, peace, beauty. Yeah. Thanks, Jan, for suggesting it. With luck, this is what you had in mind. Yeah.
Thank you for following up, Isaac. It was brilliant for me. And thanks everyone for being here.
Yeah. And thanks, Sylvie, for hosting again. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Peace.
Shri Satchidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavati Namaha Om Satchidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavati Namaha Om Satchidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavati Namaha Om Satchidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavati Namaha Om Satchidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Shri Bhagavati Samhita Shri Bhagavati Namaha Om Satchidananda Parabrahma Purushottama Paramatma Purushottama Paramatma Shri